Why is it you've left me alone all day and then as soon as I start trying to record a video, you want all of my attention and start bothering me? I'm not used to seeing myself in colourful clothing and it's really throwing me off. I'm once again on r/AskReddit and reading responses to when did you get your gut feeling of something's not right here save you? But yeah, I hope you really enjoy this video, and if you do then please like, comment and subscribe as it helps me out a bunch. Also, I will leave my Twitter linked in the description. I'll put my @ somewhere up on the screen. I woke up at 3 AM once sitting upright in bed. I felt on alert and my heart raced when I saw that my cat was on alert too. Wide awake by my feet with his ears perked up, but I didn't see or hear anything weird. Something didn't feel right and I couldn't relax. So I got up and went to the kitchen, turned on some lights and ate food even though I wasn't hungry, eventually went back to bed. We discovered the next morning that someone had stopped or in the process of using some kind of tool to silently cut a big hole in the glass window in the living room. They were trying to break in, right next to the bedroom. I think the lights I turned on scared them away. To add to that, we had 3 long years of issues with our neighbours. They repeatedly came into our property and were pissed that we put up a 9-foot fence to keep them out. This attempted break-in happened right after the fence went up and 2 days before they all moved out. Glad those pieces of shit are long gone. Some dude got off the bus at the same stop as me. It happened about 8 PM in October, so it's quite dark out already. He had spoken to me on the bus, one line about nice weather. Anyway, he gets off the bus after me. I cross the road and make a mental note of him walking the opposite way to me. I make sure to watch him walking away. Something in my gut says not to trust him. To get to my house, I have to walk up a hill with a path alongside a high stone wall. Usually, I listen to music as I walk. I decide not to this time. I'm about halfway up when I get this awful feeling. I take out my phone, dial my mother's number, and as I do so, I hear fast steps of someone running up behind me. I know it's the guy before I turn around, and as I do, he is literally running full speed towards me. I look him dead in the eyes, ready to fight for my life. As I do this, my mother answers her phone and I say, "Hi mom." He slows right down to a light jog and says evening as he jogs past me. I ask my mum to stay on the line. Our boyfriend comes out to meet me at the top of the hill. The guy is nowhere to be seen. He was definitely running up behind me to strike me, and by turning to face him, I'm certain it threw him off. Not me, but my dad. I was too stupid to listen to him. I used to live on the roughest council estate in my hometown when I was very young. Very dangerous for anyone, let alone kids, so for that reason my parents rarely let me outside unless I was with other kids being supervised or within sight of my parents. This story is regarding the latter one. I wanted to go to the nearby park, but my dad said no as there were some rough people over there and that I could only play outside on the steps to our flat building, which I agreed to, although I had no intention of doing that. As soon as I went outside, I went right to the park and began playing. I kept glancing over at the 2 people and noticed them constantly looking over me, which made me nervous. But I was like 5 years old, so cared more about fun than my own safety. Anyway, the 2 people approached me, in brackets, they'd been drinking, and cornered me by the fence when I tried to run. They grabbed a hold of me when out of nowhere I heard my dad shouting at them. He ran over and it's the only time I've ever saw him get physical with anybody, but he handed their asses to them while screaming obscenities at them for putting their hands on his son. He grabbed a hold of my arm and dragged me back home while swearing at me for being so stupid. I got a good hiding over that and was grounded for weeks. Years later I asked him about it and he told me that he just knew I would go to the park, so followed me to keep an eye on me. He didn't expect anything to happen to me, but when it did, he went mental. I was 14 and travelling Italy with my dad. We arrived in Florence by train. At the train station with our bags and preparing to exit, we find a hotel to stay at. Heading out, we are confronted by this dude. Very friendly, pleasant-faced and all. He shoves a brochure in my dad's hands and starts in on the utterly fantastico hotel. There are pictures, vague but pleasing, and the price is incredibly cheap, and he has a van here ready to take up right now. My dad was happier than a clam about this, never planning any step before he takes it and glad to have such a cool opportunity slap him in the face. I'm listening and getting a cold feeling from my stomach to my neck about this guy. I interject with, "I think we'll walk around for a bit and head to the hotel ourselves later." The guy looks at me and shakes his head and tells me we have to go now or the deal is off. That seals it for me. He and my dad even start loading bags into the van. I'm incredulous at this and grab my dad, telling him to listen to me. He almost argues with me, the guy watching us, but relents. We pull our bags out and promptly walk away. The guy wouldn't even let us take our brochure with us. No way in fuck that was legit or going to end well for us. I was 6 years old and staying at a lodge with my family. My parents were staying in one room and I was in the other room with my 3 siblings. Everyone else was asleep, but I was laying in bed wide awake and terrified. I don't remember hearing anything, just being scared shitless. I got out of bed and pounded on my parents' door so hard my fist hurt. I'll never forget how scared I was. My parents had me and my siblings sleep in their room that night and we left early the next day. I didn't find out till years later when I asked about it. There had been a ladder up against my window and the screen was cut open. I live in Southern California and growing up living by the beach, I would go surfing a lot, almost every day during the summer with my buddies. One day I wanted to go out but no one else could, so I decided it was fine and I would go by myself. Not a huge deal, I've gone surfing alone in the past and there are always other people in the lineup to hang around. More waves for me, I thought. But after a while something just felt off. I don't really know how to explain it, but it was very, very eerie feeling, as if I was being watched. I don't think I've ever felt such an acute feeling like that before or since then, but I just listened to my gut feeling and paddled in and went home. The next morning, a swimmer died at that exact beach from a great white shark attack. I haven't been surfing since and that was 10 years ago. My wife and I were taking pictures at a local park on a roughish side of town. Everywhere we went, I noticed the same guy over and over. He never got really close, but was always close enough that he could see and hear us talking. The more I thought about it, the more uneasy I felt. Finally, I told my wife and her mum that something wasn't right and we needed to leave. As we started walking back to our car, I noticed the guy was now behind us. I then stopped and asked for one more picture to see what the guy did. He walks past us and gets into his vehicle. He pulled the vehicle next to the sidewalk and got out to read one of those big signs that tell you about the history of an area or something like that, and left all of his doors open. The way he was positioned, we would be walking in between his truck, the sign, and then him. I immediately grabbed my wife and walked her and her mum to the edge of the parking lot instead of through the sidewalk. As soon as we got into our vehicle, he followed us for about a mile until we pulled into a huge parking lot with lots of people around. I have no doubt that he had bad intentions. On a long road trip in a family van my family used to own. All my siblings and their kids were with us. Our parents were seated at the front. I was the last of the passengers to fall asleep after crossing an intersection near a bridge halfway to our destination, but was suddenly woken up. A few minutes later, I realised that my dad was driving along a really narrow road with no barricades at the side and wasn't slowing down even by a bit, and we were about to collide with another car coming towards us. I screamed and woke everyone up, including my dad, who was dozing off at the time. To this day, I'm not sure what woke me up. Well, those stories were interesting to say the least. I hope if you learned anything from this video, it was that you should always trust your gut instincts. Your gut feelings and instincts and whatever are mad, so just always trust your gut because it is somehow always right. But if you did enjoy this video, then please like, comment and subscribe. It helps me out a bunch. And we are also very, very close to 50 subscribers, which is actually insane to think about, that I've only been doing this properly for like 3 months-ish, 4 months maybe, I don't know. But the fact that I'm that close to 50 subscribers in such a short amount of time is actually insane. So if you want, you can help me actually reach 50 subscribers by subscribing. So cheers, I'd really appreciate it. If you enjoy me making videos on this subreddit, then please let me know. Or if you have any other subreddits in mind, then just comment it down below and I'll check them out and try and make a video on them. There's people walking past my house right now singing Chandelier by Sia. Just a casual day. I did have something else to say, but I can't remember now. So great, I'll see you whenever I next see you, I guess.